The Lost Cryptids Conservatory, where we will shatter your reality to bring you closer to the truth.
All right,
hello,
guys.
hello.
Welcome back to the live show. I have an awesome special show for you guys. These are the creators of the CRYPTIDNALS, which is a black and white graphic novel, and is a tale of basically cryptid kind of superhero squad, I guess. Let's go to Ray first. Introduce yourself and how did you guys get started with this project and everything else?
Cool. Thank you so much for having us, Blake. We really do appreciate it. We're trying to get word out on the book that we've been working on for some time. Like the moniker says, you know, happy, hearty, hard on. That's just what I go by. But my name is Ray Ramos, writer, creator of the CRYPTIDNALS, working with 6x6 Comics, of course, part of 6x6 Comics, based out of Juarez and El Paso, Texas. And we began working on this probably about, I started working on it about 2016. And then we've just been rolling along with it, trying to, get it to where it is right now. As professional looking and as good looking as it looks, sexy, so to speak. But let me introduce the rest of the crew before we get into all of that.
Yeah,
go ahead, Oliver.
Sorry, I had my mic off. Hey, this is Oliver Liarce. I am an illustrator and colorist, letterer. I do everything here in 6x6 Comics. How's it going, guys?
This is Javier Gutierrez. I'm an artist for 6x6 Comics, and there's no way that I can speak in English as fast as Ray. but yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, that's all good. It's all good.
So, wait, before we start, I have a question.
Of
that
course.
song you used for the intro, is it Goblin?
No, that's
No?
that's original music by the Lost Cryptids Conservatory. Actually,
Really? It sounded so familiar.
Bass work, my
it's
bass
awesome.
work,
Really?
guitar. There's Buddy's guitar work, and put it all together, and here we are.
Were
That
you
was a nice intro.
influenced? Were you influenced by morphine by any chance? Because I hear a lot of morphine in that.
Man, I played a lot of old school Metallica with Cliff Burton,
Cool.
Iron Maiden type of stuff, and just
Awesome.
anything that was really good in bass line. So
Check out if you get a chance, Blake. Check out Morphine. They're a band from the '90s. They had a lot of heavy bass, like the stuff that you were playing. It reminded me so much of that. They were like acid jazz metal band. It was really really cool stuff. So
heck yeah. I will definitely check them out. And thank you. I appreciate the compliment, guys.
were you gonna say something, Javi? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay.
So tell us a little bit about the idea of this the CRYPTIDNALS.
So all of this derived from what I've experienced growing up. I saw a lot of stuff, experienced a lot of stuff, and up until right now, I've been trying to figure out what exactly, I saw and heard and witnessed, whatever you want to call it. And I think that's where everything started. Just these experiences as a kid, growing up in my parents' house. When I was a kid, I saw I experienced. I can't say I saw her, but I experienced what I can only call La Llorona, which is very popular myth around the border in the lower states and also in Mexico and into South America. And I don't know if you've heard of La Llorona. She's considered a cryptid as far as I'm concerned, but
Yeah,
they
I
made a
believe
movie
so.
about
Yeah.
it. Hmm.
Yeah, she's wearing a wedding dress or something.
Yeah. She was wearing a wedding dress. The legend has it that she went insane because a man would not return her affections. So she took her children that she had and drowned them in the river. And when she went back to the man to tell him like, hey, the kids are out of the way, we can be together. She was scorned once again, and she went and drowned herself in the river as well. But death rejected her, and so she's cursed like a banshee to just roam the waterways, the rivers, and the waterways, looking for her children. And of course, that's what she says. She says, mis hijos," which means my children, my children.
Wow, that is kind of scary, and a lot of people do see that. So you have said you had experiences with that. What exactly happened?
Oh man, it's a crazy, crazy story. I mean, I'll go into depth. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. But when I was a kid, I was about 12 years old, and back in the day, it was there like El Paso was a little bit not as full of people, and there was like these boony cities outside of El Paso, like suburbs, I guess you could call them. And one of them was Moon City. Moon City is a suburb of El Paso, and it's about I don't know, about 30 to 40 minutes away from where I'm at right now. But back in the 80s, my brother-in-law, he lived out there with my sister, and they had converted the garage that they lived in, or that they had, into their house. And when you drove up to the garage, there was these big cinder blocks and a big oak door, and that's the only way to get into their house. And when anyone ever drove up, at night especially, the lights would go through the cinder blocks real eerily. As soon as you walked into the room, and I describe the room because it comes into play in the story. So as soon as you walk into the room, it's a perfect square, and immediately to your left, there's a door that leads outside to the backyard, and there's a rock wall in the backyard, and behind the rock wall, there's a canal, and behind the canal, there was nothing but cotton fields. So in front of you, when you walk into the house, there is their living room, and the living room was really simple. There was two couches lined up against the wall and a TV. You went through the kitchen area and to the back, which was the master bedroom, and then behind that, there was a rock wall you could see through the window, and of course the cotton fields. So my brother-in-law got a satellite dish, and he invited me over as a 12-year-old kid. He's like, "Hey, Raymond, you want to come over this weekend and watch the Playboy Channel?" And I was really excited because I'm a 12-year-old kid. I want to see the Playboy Channel. So I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's go." So my sister, told my parents I was going over. I was going to spend the night. We went over, dropped me off, and I was hanging out with my brother-in-law in the living room. My sister was there with the kids, and after a while, it got real late. She went to bed with the kids, and my brother-in-law and I stayed up watching TV, waiting for the hour when he could position the satellite dish and receive the signal for the Playboy Channel. And finally, about 12 o'clock, he did it. The Playboy Channel came through. We started watching it. We were having a great time, and somewhere along the way, I passed out. So I get woken up by this loud, like knocking, like thunderous knocking on the door that was, into the house, the big oak door, and it's like boom, 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 knocking. And I sat up, and the dogs were barking. They were going crazy. And when I sat up, I didn't bother looking where my brother-in-law was, and I went to the door to open it, thinking that it was him that had locked himself out. As I get to the door, and I'm about to, it was like the movies, man. I was about to put my hand on the doorknob to open it. My brother-in-law sits up from the couch, and he's like yelling, like, "No, no, 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 no. Don't open that door. It's La Llorona. If you open that door, she'll come in here, and she'll take us all." And I'm like looking at him, and before anything could register, I heard it. It yelled, it screamed, whatever you want to call it. It cried, and the dogs like shut up. And I can't even imitate the sound that I heard. But the part that scared the crap out of me, and I always tell this story in the same way, the thing that still bothers me to this day, because I can still hear it very clearly, is when it took a breath in between it crying. So it's crying and then it goes like that, but it sounded like someone underwater, like trying to gasp underwater, trying to take a breath, and it couldn't. And it did that, and I was like, oh my god! And at that same time, I'm still standing by the door, and I have this compulsion to open it. I wanted to know what it was. I needed to know what it was. By this time, my sister came out. She's standing there in the living room, and she's like, it's happening again. And that did register in my head. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's happening again, you know? And she's like, come back, sit down, just get away from the door. So it took everything that I had, man. It was crazy. It was like, I don't know. I never wanted something so badly than to open that door. But I went and I sat down, and I sat there for what seemed like forever. And this thing kept going, like it kept screaming. And finally it stopped. And when it stopped, these bright rays of light, I can't even describe how bright they are other than sunlight, came in through the cracks in the cinder blocks, underneath the door, anywhere it could come in through. It came in and it lit up the room, and it was blinding. And then it faded, like real weird, like strange. And it faded out. And as soon as it faded out, the dog started barking again. And I sat there and I looked at them like, what the hell just happened? What's going on? My sister and my brother-in-law were like, hey, don't worry about it. Just go to bed. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Just leave it alone. And I listened to them, and I was like, okay, maybe they're right. Maybe they'll talk to me about it tomorrow. And I went back to sleep. And the next morning I woke up and I asked them, and they're like, no, you know what? Don't worry. You were dreaming. We won't talk about that. We don't want to talk about that. And it stayed in my head. And now thinking about it, looking back in retrospect, a lot of stuff was going on around me that I really didn't realize was happening, that was causing, I guess, this attraction to the paranormal. And that was like, I guess that was the climax of it. Because beforehand, when I had visited my sister, I had noticed that they had certain objects that didn't seem right. They had like an altar, they had books of the occult. That was the first time that I ever read the Satanic Bible. And I don't know what they were doing with that stuff. I'm pretty sure they were, delving into some things, but I wasn't sure. So when I went back home and, just trying to get rid of it, trying to get it out of my mind, a lot of stuff started happening at my house as well. And over the years, it just built up. A lot of negative energy. My parents had a lot of issues, and the shadow people started appearing at my home. And these were like, a lot. It wasn't just one or two or, just one, like, popping out. It looked like swarms. It looked like swarms in the backyard. I would go at night and look in the backyard. You could see them like just walking around in circles. And it looked like sharks. Like when sharks swarm, that's what it looked like to me. And they would go over the walls, and it looked like the symbiote, like Venom, like how Venom kind of goes over walls. It would look like that. I had people come over at night to pick me up when I was growing up, and they refused to get out of their vehicle because they would see these things in the driveway, in the front yard, in the backyard. I think, I don't know if Oliver ever experienced anything, because he went to my parents' house a few times.
You didn't warn me either.
I know, I never warned anybody, because if I did, they wouldn't go back. I had a few friends who did see that. A good friend of mine named Chance, he saw that. A good friend of mine named Fabian, he saw that as well. Other people saw it. And it was I attribute it to the fact that my parents were so like crappy to each other over the years that they just pulled this huge vortex of negative energy, and all these things were just attracted there because we were always seeing them. And when I moved in with my parents towards the end of their life, my wife would see them too. She started seeing them, like standing in the corners, just staring at us. I saw the Hat Man a few times as well at my home. Which I didn't know what it was at the time. It wasn't until later doing research that I figured out what it was. But these were the type of things that I grew up experiencing. And all of that, I guess, lent to me just being very, very curious about, cryptids and the paranormal. And I've been doing research, since like the early 2000s. I've been doing research trying to figure out what exactly I experienced. And the culmination of all of that is this book. It's events that are drawn from reality, things that I've read, things that I've witnessed. And I'm trying to put that in perspective by doing a comic book about it.
Yeah, that's crazy. And That's one more witness who definitely believe, with that Loroda uh, encounter and stuff, and the shadow people. There's a lot of stuff that we just don't know, and how things work and how things are played. It's just amazing. I did get some pictures loaded up with the comic. Let me
Cool.
hopefully post that. I can't see that one that as good. Let me try to see
You,
this.
you can share the screen if you want to. I mean, just open up the
Yeah,
campaign.
it doesn't work that good sometimes. And
Yeah. Okay.
here we
Okay.
go.
That's better. Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Now
see that one.
explain this one to us, guys. This is pretty awesome.
So what we were trying to do with the cryptid is trying to set it in a way where it's it's comic booky, but it's also a horror story. Because I've always enjoyed good horror, like the type of horror that is disturbing and stays with you like days afterwards, and that's what we're going for in the book. And the cryptids, of course, they play a part in it, but they have to have a villain. They have to have someone to to be the antagonist, and that's where these guys come in. And these are tulpas, and I'm sure you know what a tulpa is.
Yes.
Mhm. So the manifestation of thought, the Slender Man being one of them, but we don't call him the Slender Man. We call him El Ñango, which is also a myth that we've run across. I always thought that the Slender Man story was kind of weak. It's just some guy in a three-piece suit standing in the woods with tentacles and stuff. And I wanted to give him a purpose, a reason. And, we came up with this character called El Ñango, which has pretty much these same sinister plans for this reality. And his legion of followers are the Black-Eyed Kids. The Black-Eyed Kids have also come up recently,
yeah.
As a tulpa. I call them tulpas because these are not really cryptids. They're more, creations that have manifested themselves from the internet, like creepypastas and stuff like that have gained a lot of notoriety as of late. So that's why I call them tulpas. And of course, the rake is involved in the story as well. We have the Smile Dog comes out also. And everything kind of, I've tried to make sure that everything like fell into place, and there's a reason for everything being there. This is one of the panels or one of the pages that shows the man dog, which is a local legend here in town, facing down a rake.
Yeah, I mean that's just awesome graphics and stuff. I know you guys you can't see it as good, but I definitely will put a link to where you can find all this artwork and view it in its entirety. And it's awesome. It's beautiful. It looks really cool. Kind of violent and stuff, like good graphic comics. And you guys have a bunch of characters and stuff.
Yeah, these are just a few of the characters.
It didn't show.
It's just like the tip of the iceberg, no?
Yeah, but Man Dog, he's was he on the good side? Like what exactly? How did they get to this team?
Is there a good side here,
too much.
Ray?
Is there a good side here? No, there's just a misunderstood side, right?
Awesome.
The Man Dog character is actually a local legend here in El Paso. Like I was talking about earlier, the suburbs, the boonies in San Elizario back in the 1800s, and this is actual, history. In the 1800s, there was a salt war. There's a salt flat that's not very far from here. I think it's about 50 or 60 miles from El Paso. And during that time, the village El San Elizario was right on the border, and there was trade between Mexico and the U.S. of salt. And the landowners were using the villagers to do the work. So they would go and transport this salt to Mexico and back. But the landowners were very cruel, and there was an uprising by the villagers. And they went and they attacked all the landowners. They murdered them. They hacked them into pieces. It was really bad that they called for the Texas Rangers. So the Texas Rangers show up in San Elizario, expecting, to quell the violence and be like, hey, relax. But instead, they get overwhelmed. And it's the first and only time in recorded U.S. history that the Texas Rangers were ever defeated in any sort of skirmish. So what ended up happening was the villagers, they took the Rangers, they murdered them, they hacked them into pieces, they threw them down wells, and they left one Ranger alive. Now, this is the myth right here. They left one Ranger alive, and the shaman of the village told him, because of what you've done, because of the atrocities that you've committed, you are cursed to wander the earth until you find redemption, and you're cursed to wander like a dog, never finding a home. So he became this creature, this man dog, never finding a home, never being able to, rest until he finds that redemption. And in the story, in the Cryptidnals, he's looking for that. He's trying to make amends for what he did in his past. He's kind of like the Wolverine, I guess you could say, of the group. And he has these two pistols, and the pistols, they each have bullets inside of them that can destroy anything paranormal, anything cryptid, anything like that. But each time he uses one of the bullets, it reverts him back to his human form. And when he reverts back to human form, if he's killed, then he is damned for all eternity to hell. So he can never find that redemption. So he tries not to use those pistols very often because it might cost him his soul.
Wow, it's very, very interesting. Let's try this share screen that we got going on.
Cool. There you go.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, so you could see the artwork a little bit better.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, look at that. It's sweet.
Yeah, that's the main cover, drawn by the artist Dario Rodriguez. He's the artist for the Cryptidnals, and colored by Red Garcia. He's one of the artists that works with 6x6 Comics as well.
Awesome. Now, I've seen this image floating around, actually.
Yes, this one is the Battle of Nightmare Hall. And I'm sure you know what the Battle of Nightmare Hall is, you guys that you're into, cryptids and the paranormal and stuff, because of the Sandia, New Mexico, or the Dulce, New Mexico event that happened back in the 70s where the military fought, the alien greys and stuff like that.
I don't think a lot of people do know that, actually.
Oh, really? So this is the cover for...
Why don't you do a quick explanation about it?
Sure, no problem. So the Battle of Nightmare Hall happened in the 70s. Apparently something happened where there is a U.S. facility located inside this plateau in Dulce, New Mexico. It's called Sandia Plateau. And inside the facility, there's many different levels. And below the levels of the ground, there's Nightmare Hall. That's what the military described it as. And that's where the aliens are partaking in experiments on human beings. There's an agreement between the government and the aliens to not interfere. They can kidnap as many people as they want. And they were doing these weird genetic experiments on people. Something happened in the 70s. And if you look this up on YouTube or, on the internet, you can find, go down the rabbit hole. You can find out the information for yourself. Something happened in the 70s where the U.S. military engaged in a firefight with alien greys, and people were getting disintegrated. There was like bodies everywhere. People were dying. In Nightmare Hall. And that's where the I guess the pretense for the Cryptidnals comes in, because that's one of the events in real, history, I guess you could say, of cryptids that stayed with me. And I wanted to kind of expound on that and figure out what exactly had happened during that time. And so you see in this image, all these cryptids came together and they tried to stop the aliens. But something happened. And there were a lot of them that ended up dead, and aliens as well. But now, in the current story, the way that it's playing out, the cryptids actually are in Nightmare Hall. They prevented the alien attack some way, somehow. If you read the book, you'll find out, I guess. But that's where they've set up residence, and it's kind of like sacred ground. Any cryptid that has some sort of intelligence can go there, and they have no problem interacting with the rest of the cryptids as well.
That's awesome. As it's a good story, and it's definitely piquing my interest. And
awesome.
So let's see. So yeah, that's the Mothman, I guess you would say, right? Yeah,
that's the Mothman, and then in the background you see like a Wendigo and some other stuff as well.
Really, really sick artistry too. I mean, it's really, really sweet.
It's the Wendigo, Flatwoods Monster, a Chupacabra, Jersey Devil. What is this? A vampire?
Yeah, it's a Nosferatu vampire,
a werewolf, and a harpy, right?
Yeah,
there's a harpy.
Yeah, we're throwing everyone in there, man.
Everything.
Everything.
Awesome. We even have a jackalope in there. Not in the cover, but in the story, there's a jackalope in there too. All right. So this is the next cover. This is the one by Aurelio Mazzara. He's a Marvel artist, and he was able to draw this cover for me. He also did the concept art for a movie called Psycho Gorman. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one. It just came out like a few months ago. Um, but this one is Spring Hill Jack and La Llorona, and they're I guess in front of El Ñango with his tentacles and stuff.
They're posing sexy. So
Yeah, they're posing. It's the sexy cover.
Right. Yeah,
Every
it
comic's
is.
got to have the sexy cover.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's sleek, man. It's really good work you guys are doing too, and
Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
So,
We're trying our hardest.
oh yeah, yeah, you know.
So you want to
Oh,
give
I'm
the
sure it's hard getting all this stuff together, and
yes.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say if you want to give the pitch, Ray, of what is the Cryptidnals?
So the cryptidnals are the secret war of monsters that's going on right now. It's cryptids fighting tulpas. Cryptids being like the monsters that you're familiar with, like the Bigfoot and Spring Hill Jack and Man Dog. The Goat Man is in there too. Kid Cthulhu, fighting against the tulpas, which is the rakes, the smile dogs, the El Ñango, and the black-eyed kids as well. So they're trying to stop this incursion of otherworldly evil led by El Ñango, to destroy this reality. And the only thing that stands in their way is the cryptids that we all, have come to love, but also have come to criminalize. And that's where the name comes in. Cryptids and criminals makes the Cryptidnals.
that's awesome. And what a concept too, and it definitely great artistry too. I mean, holy crap!
Appreciate it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have Dario like locked to his desk, like chained to his desk, just pumping out pages and stuff.
I'm sure that's in some intense stuff, man, and it's talent. I mean, that's all I can say. It's wow.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Blake, and thank you for having us once again on your show, man. Like I said, we're used to the comic book audience, but this is like different. It's a breath of fresh air. In other words.
Yeah, I think it definitely. I mean, it's awesome with all these cryptids and stuff. It's really nice seeing, especially this. These black-eyed children just as sinister looking and as gruesome as they look. I mean, that's truly terrifying. And seeing a kid like that, that would be truly scary. I think it's great
Oh, yeah.
representation.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I tried to do my homework as best as I could, man. I don't want to come in here and just say whatever just so people can like what we're doing. I just wanted to have the backup of knowing exactly what I'm talking about, and I hope you guys enjoy the book. If you decide to back it, if you decide to follow us as well, I mean, if you don't want to back it but you like it, please share the project with people that that might like it, and just get the word out.
El Gargoyle is in the chat, by the way.
Oh, Gargoyle, that's cool. He followed us over here.
So yeah,
Awesome stuff.
Here's a cast of the characters.
Yeah,
Yes,
I was
these
trying
are
to
the
show that
cast.
image earlier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the de facto leader of the Cryptidnals is Spring Hill Jack, but it's the female version of Spring Hill Jack, which is his daughter. Without giving away too much, she's trying to figure out what happened to her dad, and her name is Raydron, and that's actually a name that the Spring Hill Jack was referred to back in the 1800s in London. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but in the 1950s, there were sightings of Spring Hill Jack in Austin and Houston, Texas, and also in New Mexico.
What was he doing there, Ray? That's very interesting.
I don't know. What was he doing there? Read the Cryptidnals and find out. Hey.
But in the 50s,
right.
so he was probably investigating the Roswell incident.
It's possible.
Or something?
It's very possible. I mean, the
That's
cities,
interesting.
Different
everything
timelines.
is
and stuff, yeah.
interconnected.
That's
You
another
guys just
comment.
put the link to this page and stuff, so you guys can hit that up and support them, check the stuff out.
So here's a Man Dog and La Llorona. So we already know.
La Llorona.
Yeah.
We tried to
Kid Cthulhu.
Before we get into Kid Cthulhu, let me explain La Llorona really quickly. So
Okay.
La Llorona, a lot of people have in the Hispanic community, Latino community, they have this this belief that La Llorona is just one-sided. You know, she's a murderer, you know, child murderer, which is kind of hard to get over if you really think about it. But I was trying to do something different with her character because she's always been portrayed as this evil character. But in this case, we tried to give her a little bit of a redemption arc as well as to what happened and why things happened in her history. And she actually is part of the team. She is heroic. She tries to save, I guess, other cryptids, because in the book we do downplay a lot of the human interaction. So you're looking at everything through the monster's viewpoint and what's going on, and you start figuring out that a lot of these monsters have a lot of human qualities, and maybe that's why we are so drawn to them also.
Ah, very interesting indeed.
Yeah, we're flipping the script, man.
I like it, think it outside the box and stuff, and doing original stuff.
Kid Cthulhu, everybody's liking this character as well. It's the elder god Cthulhu, and he's trapped inside the body of a 7-year-old boy.
Yeah, I mean, come on now, that's awesome.
Don't pull my leg.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's a different take on him as well. Trying to get a different viewpoint on Cthulhu, also being evil. The creeping chaos, all that other stuff that's involved in his background. And then we have Nyango, which is the real big bad of the story.
Wow. Very, very. I mean, great work, guys, and very detailed, and everything's thought out. And
there's the rake. Of course, everyone's familiar with the rake, and then the black-eyed children, the black-eyed kids.
Yeah, that's Blake's favorite, the black-eyed kids.
The black-eyed kids.
I seen a rake before, man, and I tell you what.
Oh shit!
It didn't open its mouth like that, but yeah, its head was pretty close. Everything spot on, man.
That thing is scary, man. But there's a reason for it, and I don't want to give away too much as far as the story. Once again,
of course not.
But the reason for the rake is because there's another creature that we all love that is being used to produce these things, to make these things. And I never really thought about it. So I started doing the research, and they're very similar. And because of this one creature, the bad guy, the big bad, Nyango, is using them to create rakes.
Very interesting.
I didn't know that, Ray. That's cool.
Yeah, I wonder what it could be. Gotta read it.
Gotta read it. Gotta back it.
Gotta back it and find out why.
That's right, guys.
Yeah. So, like I said, man, we've been drawing a lot from real life. I know on your show you investigate a lot of different stuff, and a lot of weird cryptids have popped up here in El Paso and in Juarez, and we tried to integrate those into the story as well. Trying to take from reality, once again, different circumstances and happenstances that have happened. Is that a word? I'm not sure, but
no, I don't know. You're the writer, you should know.
Different happenings that have occurred. So,
yeah, I mean, what's you guys' personal opinion on like all these cryptids just popping up out of nowhere, and what's and some experiences everyone else has had.
I remember the chupacabra craze back in the 90s, mid-90s.
Right. What happened to that? That now the thing looks completely different.
Yeah, I know. It's I remember because it was all over the news over here in Juarez. I mean, there were a lot of cattle mutilations around the ranches in Chihuahua, and also a lot of hype, a lot of newspaper articles and all that. And well, I was a kid in those times, so I was really afraid. It was during the summer, and we had to sleep with the window open because the AC wasn't like fixed. And I was scared. Hey, I think the chupacabra is gonna fly in the room. We should close the window. but then I said, oh, it's only after cattle, so we're okay. We're safe. So leave it open.
After cattle.
That was a Yeah, I remember that in the '90s and stuff. It was big.
Yeah.
A lot of cattle mutilations in Mexico and in
Mhm.
Texas and surrounding states. What do you guys think's the reason why it went from like a gargoyle type of thing to this mangy coyote? And how come there's no reports of the original Chupacabra as much?
That's
That's
very
a good
interesting.
question, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that I can say about that is that I don't know. It's kind of like, okay, so just go with me on this one, but it's kind
Yeah.
of like the alien experience. Back in the day, aliens were a certain type, they were a certain kind, and then it started expanding into all these different types, all these different species or whatever you want to call them. But at the same time, the media got a hold of it, and it started not so much being watered down, but it started becoming very familiarized for the general public, and people were more accepting of these different types of aliens, and then the sightings and stuff like that, started occurring. And I think that's what's happening with the chupacabras. And if you notice, as of late, it's the chupacabra is more comical. It's not as I don't know, sinister as it was before when it first came out. Like, it looked like a gargoyle. I was scared of that thing when it first came out, man. I
Yeah.
didn't want to meet that thing. But now it's more like a dog-like creature with like spikes, and then there's been like other murders and stuff, or of it, or rather killings of it. And it just doesn't seem to have the same impact that it did when it first came out. And I think it's because the media has watered down that first version that we saw into what it is now, which has become more accepted by the general populace.
They never did explain the whole cattle mutilation, right? I mean, it's still an enigma.
Right.
Or
There was a lot of stuff going on too.
yeah,
Explained to like UFOs and stuff also, but it doesn't. I can't understand how it went from something totally different to the
hmm
dog that is weird in itself, but it's not at all what people are seeing. And it doesn't have wings and can't glide or fly.
yeah. It's a cholo squinkle, no? It's that Aztec dog, no? That
Yeah,
hairless.
the sotolo, whatever, the choloscuincle,
Yeah,
that
it's a,
thing.
it's a hairless dog, but yeah, that's the. I remember a video of. I think it was a dash cam. They were
Hmm.
following a dog. It was
Yes, I remember that one.
it was
Yes, yes.
it was
It was a
hairless and
border patrol
yeah,
video.
yeah, it was a border patrol video, but it was they were like really into it. Oh, look at its snout. It's like shaped oddly, and it doesn't have any hair and all that.
Yes,
I
it's
don't
a few
know.
seconds.
I don't know if they cut it or they just let it go. But yeah,
It's a few seconds of footage. That one.
yeah,
I personally don't believe that we are going to ever have like the full information of what happened with the chupacabra, because it was way before the age of social media and the ease of everyone having like a personal
mm,
camera in their phones.
yeah.
But that being said, uh, I, I got to watch a lot of all the stuff happening in Skinwalker Ranch.
Mm.
From the things that I've seen concerning that, I believe that same of stuff could have happened all around Latin America in those years, because it wasn't like Mexico, Texas happening originally.
Yeah,
If mistaken, is something that started around in Costa Rica or Puerto Rico or
Puerto
something like
Rico,
that,
no? Yeah.
Mhm.
and it evolved in a lot of places, not around the world, but if you put it in a map, it's like a certain kind of line can be drawn to it. So I think it's inside the realm of possibilities that some kind of, I don't know, other dimensional, otherworldly, weird stuff could have happened there.
Oh,
It's just, it's
yeah.
just my 2 cents about it.
Also,
Yeah,
well,
you never know. I mean,
yeah.
it vanished. I mean, it did originate in Central America and stuff, and
Mhm.
I assumed that it would live in the jungles, it'd live in the woods of all the countries and regions. You got mountains and a bunch of stuff, but there is like no reports of that creature really anymore, at least on my
I mean,
radar.
haven't they keep? I mean, don't they keep finding sea creatures like underwater? Because they
Oh
don't.
yeah,
They
yeah,
haven't like they can't explore all the oceans. I mean,
right.
Yeah,
And we do still haven't explored all the places in land, or at least haven't been there enough to fully understand the ecosystem and creatures and cryptids that live there. So
exactly.
I do know that in like Mexico and Central America and all the way down there, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we just don't know, and they're finding like elongated skulls and stuff
Yeah.
and all that. So huge mystery.
And also the Mexican government took advantage of the chupacabra craze because they were doing some nasty stuff. So they used that to distract
Yeah.
the population. So those sneaky guys.
They're sneaky guys.
Yeah, it got kind of weird in Mexico those years.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are kind of different. You guys more open with the UFOs for a lot of years. You guys, the news talk about it, show videos a lot, and different mindset. But
It's just I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Go
No,
ahead.
I was just gonna say it's just I guess it's a different vibe that they have in Mexico when it comes to the paranormal. But then again, and correct me if I'm wrong, Oliver, especially I'm still in America, even though I'm just like a stone throws away from Mexico. But it's more like, to me, the religious aspect of people's backgrounds in Mexico plays up a lot of the superstitions and a lot of the things that they see. So in thinking that way, it's more like people in Mexico are more affected by what they witness because they can't explain it other than turning to religion. So if religion can't explain it, then it must be something otherworldly, and that's the way it goes. And like Javi was saying, the Mexican government knows this and it uses this against its own people when it wants to cover up certain shady activities that it's doing, by blaming like the chupacabras and stuff. Oh my God, these people were cut up into 10,000 pieces because the chupacabra did it,
Yeah, there was this time when it was a political assassination, and and next day they brought out the chupacabra in the news.
Wow.
So yeah, it's really
Well, that's just another day with politics and government, right?
Exactly.
Unfortunately.
And also the UFO thing. It's very interesting that there are theories that there's a UFO base in Tampico in the sea. I think it's the Gulf of Mexico. I'm not sure.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but there's a base because apparently every time there's a hurricane coming, it doesn't hit Tampico. It gets deflected to somewhere else.
Wow.
So they haven't had a hurricane hit since the '60s. So
Really?
that's really interesting.
That's very interesting and stuff, and people should look into all this other stuff because you never know what you'll learn.
Yeah, that is a good point to mark in your map, in any map.
It is, yeah. A paranormal hotspot around the world. We have many, and secret bases and all that. And a lot of people think that they're genetically engineering stuff, or things have got out. We have the technology with CRISPR now to mutate genes, and I mean, who knows? We know cloning since the '90s, so
yeah, that quiet down a bit, no?
Very quiet.
Yeah, the sheep. No, what was it called? Dolly or something like that, or
Dolly, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, the first sheep clone or something, and then they keep quiet.
30 years later.
So I guess there was a breakthrough, or they messed up along the way, and they just kept quiet.
Exactly.
True, I mean, look at what was that one island? Was it in the eastern U.S.? Was it in Maine? The Montauk Island?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were doing a bunch of crazy this, and they would throw I've seen video where they would throw like
Jekyll
whatever
Island
experience
or
they had.
something?
They just throw them out into the wild on the beach. They'd wash up and stuff, and people were like, "What is that?" It's like a raccoon but a pig. What's going on? They couldn't understand what it was. Yeah, Montauk Island, the Montauk Monster.
Yeah, that was a real government base that was head up by Project Paperclip Nazi, who was he was a weapons and insect specialists. And odd thing enough is the first cases of Lyme disease came off of Lyme, Connecticut, which is just off the shores of that island too.
There you go.
Funny you should say that because we just released a book about zombies that the ticks are the cause of the infection. So.
Oh man, that's scary. You know how many ticks I've had on me this summer already?
Oh man.
Yeah, over here in the summer it gets infested with ticks. So yeah, there's a lot of news articles saying, "Hey, be careful, clean your backyards.
Oh yeah,
wash it with soap and
bleach it,
and all that, and spray with insecticide and hope for the best."
Best thing is just to get the tick off first before it latches and
yeah,
wash it and stuff. But yeah, so that's kind of a little mystery of did that disease actually come from that island, and that shady Nazi character was the head of the island for a little bit, and was a bug specialist and bioweapon engineer.
Sorry, this reminds me of that Japanese unit. What's it called? Unit for something, I don't know.
Oh, their experimental.
Yeah, they use fleas as to propagate chemical warfare, or bio warfare, or something like that.
So bio warfare. Yeah, it's very crazy stuff that they were doing in World War II, which is very mysterious with the flu fires and the these islands that the Japanese and the U.S. Marines and all that were on, of giants and a lot of stuff.
I heard about that stuff when they would land on these islands and they'd be finding all this craziness going on. And what happened to all that information? Where did it go? Now it just seems to be like hearsay, rumors, stories that have been handed down and stuff like that.
Well, isn't it that the best way to hide the truth? Like just leaving it at in the open and just deny it. No, it's just crazy talk.
Well, it's all on the internet. It must have come from somewhere, right?
True that.
Exactly.
Yeah, very fascinating stuff. And the cryptidnals, fits right in there with that whole cover up mystery and all of that, which is perfect. I mean, because maybe there is some real life cryptidnals.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what we're trying to do with the book. Like, we're giving you everything. Everything that we're fascinated with, we're trying to put in the book. You got the conspiracy theories, you got the aliens, you got the cryptids, you got the tulpas, cyberspace entities that are coming to life. And of course, you have the melodrama between the characters, like they're monsters, but they're trying to act human and stuff like that. And we're just trying to put as much of that in 132 pages for your enjoyment. Just to delve into the world that we're creating with the cryptidnals.
Oh man, that's exciting exciting stuff. So what else? What other kind of cryptids got you guys interested or encountered, or have you guys ever actually went out and looked for anything? Or
no. Hell no.
There's one that fascinates me right now, and I've told this story also. I listen to a lot of podcasts, yours included, that they talk about different occurrences and people that have called in. There's a cryptid here in El Paso. They call them desert apes. It's a Sasquatch. Supposedly, it looks like a Sasquatch, and it roams the desert around El Paso. It's called the Horizon City Monster. If you want to look it up, there's been news articles about it, throughout the years. But as of late, I've been really, really interested in what's going on with it, because I think it was last year, and there's one show that I listened to. It's called Sasquatch Chronicles. I'm sure you've heard of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I listened to Sasquatch Chronicles, and they had one person call in from El Paso, and he was describing, he was a member of the SWAT team, and I don't know if you heard this story or not, but he was a member of the SWAT team, and they were doing exercises and maneuvers out in Waco Tanks, and I know exactly where that facility is, or where that area of Waco Tanks is, where the SWAT team and the El Paso Police Department goes and does exercises. and he was describing that they had finished the day, they were done with their exercises, they were coming back in whatever convoy or vehicle they had, and as they were driving through this area, Waco Tanks, and it's kind of isolated, this thing jumped out from the desert. It bum rushed their vehicle and like was about to like smash into it, and it veered. They veered off the side of the road to avoid it, and it stood there like roaring at them and screaming at them. And they described it as being like 8 to 9 feet tall. It looked like a Bigfoot from what they described to me. It was hairy, or what they described on the show. It was hairy. It had fangs. It had claws. It was like very aggressive and screaming at them. And these guys are all SWAT team members, and they were scared, out of their minds. None of them thought to get a gun or anything like that. They were just frozen with fear. This thing roared at them, and then it just took off into the desert. And they were all like, "Whoa, what the hell just happened?" And this guy came on the air, and he was talking about it, and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't really want to talk about what had happened because, I'm somebody. I'm a SWAT team member. I don't want people to think that I'm kind of going crazy or that I hallucinated this." And that really like started the gears going with me, and I want to go out there and I want to go look for this thing, and see if I can find it, or maybe get some people together and go out there. Maybe Oliver, maybe my wife will want to go out there. We'll go look for it and see what we can find out, about this story.
Yeah, I think Oliver sometimes I think Oliver does have the right idea, because I've been in situations, man, where it's like I could have been gone and no one would have ever known for at least a day or two.
Jesus.
It's not something to.
I love my life.
I love my life.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, be prepared and just do it the right way, and film it, of course.
Of course. Oh yeah. And the weird thing is that I've been out to Waco Tanks, and if you go out there, the tour guides, they give you tours of these cave areas, because what Waco means is hollow. Waco Tanks is hollow tanks where the water, where the rainwater would fill up these like hollow, like I guess stones and stuff like that. And in some of these cave areas, the Native Americans that lived in the area, they had painted, they had cave paintings, and they have these things out there. They've painted these desert apes, these Sasquatch beings. They have painted them on the walls out there. So there's some sort of validity to those stories, and I think that there is something out there. It's just have to get together a crew, outfit ourselves, to go out camping and then go and see what we can find.
Didn't you see the video I posted today? Mexicans do not camp.
Yes, I saw that. I saw the Mexicans do not camp video. Thank you.
Because of four things: La Llorona, El Chupacabras, El Cucuy, and Border Patrol.
Border Patrol. I forgot about that. Oh,
you need the body cams, Ray.
Yeah.
Get GoPros, get a helmet with a GoPro and a body cam, and so you can record everything.
Bursting my bubble, man. But yeah, I do need I need something like that. At least a GoPro.
Yeah, GoPros are good for stabilization, which even better cameras sometimes have hard time stabilizing if you're not holding it right. But
because cameras and Bigfoot do not mix, apparently.
It's a toss up. GoPros can't zoom and stuff, but they're super stable, and you got a camera that can zoom. Well, now you need a gimbal or something to stabilize it. So
yeah.
But if you do, good luck and watch out for snakes and all that. I can't.
Oh man.
I'm here in Michigan, so the terrain is completely different. But
you're in Dogman area, man. Like that's even crazier.
Oh, yeah. I've seen one actually.
Oh.
Really?
Tell us.
Yeah, well, I was 5 minutes away from the old house, and I was driving in the car, going 55 on the road. I've been down, 1,000 times, and basically, when it started running across the road on all fours, and I thought it was a coyote at first, and then I seen how massive and huge it was when it was in the middle of the road, and I'm like, holy crap, it's a wolf! It's massive, it's huge, and as it goes into the field, it gets up and starts running like a person and continues to, sprint. It just
towards you?
No, away, across in front of us, but on purpose. My girlfriend said she seen it standing up, and then it went on all fours on purpose in front of the car. But man, if it never got up, you couldn't tell it was anything different than a wolf. But
Oh
Yeah,
man.
that sounds like a dogman.
yeah, it was a dog, man. It wasn't any like super massive, muscle bound, roided out type of creature, but it got up and flew and just it was fast. It was 6, 7 foot at least. I mean, as tall as
Oh,
me when it
man.
got up.
Oh, so what is a dogman exactly? Is it they were born that way, malformed, or
There's different theories here in
Mm.
Michigan. I guess we have those kind of types more where they look like a wolf, except for all they just get up. And then
Mm.
you have others down south where they're more just freaks. They look like freaks, you
Mm.
know. They could be Native American shamanism, dogman, dog soldiers.
Ooh, okay, yeah, yeah.
Who knows? You know, witchcraft, good or bad. I, I don't know. I have no idea.
A shapeshifter, perhaps
Could be, yeah.
a nahual
Uh,
or something like
Oh,
that.
Nagual. Now we're talking about Naguales. That's not good.
I mean, I don't know. I just it looked completely natural till it got up, and I did have a dream about telling people about it, and the dream did come true with the real sighting and people sitting in the right spot, and they had the same shirt on, the hats, and I dreamt that
Oh wow.
before it happened, and it was after it was talking about it, and
It's interesting.
Skinwalker came up, so I don't know. Was it a
Oh
Skinwalker?
man.
I don't know.
Skinwalker is a slippery slope, man. Like I said, it's kind of like the Nagual, like the Mexican shaman, the shapeshifter. It's pretty much it mirrors the Skinwalker legend as well. But the Dogman one has always fascinated me because, man, like I've heard so many stories. I've seen a bunch of documentaries, The Beast of Bray Road, and all that other stuff. And
Yeah.
it's just fascinating. And every time I talk to someone from Michigan, they're all like, "Oh yeah, they're out there," but they never go into detail. Like, okay, what have you seen? What have you experienced? And
Es-
you're the first one that actually has told me anything.
Skinwalkers, Wendigos, and all that are like a really interesting category. But I think, from what I heard, because I've heard a lot of stories and accounts, only is that the the dogman could be more in tone with what Bigfoot is, like
Mm.
some kind of actual animal that is reclusive and that barely interacts with humans
Okay.
and stays to itself. And the thing I like
Mm.
about Dogman is how, at least for me personally, how plausibly, I think, I forgot
Possible.
my diction, and how plausible it is
Possible.
for something like this to be like an animal, in contrast to what legends and stuff in time could be lost and transform into stuff like the werewolves and all that.
Mhm.
I think it's kind of neat how, for me, is something more in the realm of possibilities. Something like an actual animal that has this kind of intelligence and from time to time is able to basically walk or run into fits.
Yeah.
And I see that is more in tone with Bigfoot because the accounts of people are very alike, and at the point that some document sightings are confused with Bigfoot sightings at some point, and vice versa.
Yeah,
Oh,
very true.
Only there, right? In Michigan, or is it?
No, there's like I think they are very ample in the Americas, just
Mm.
like the same Bigfoot territories.
Yeah,
And there's even like this story. I forgot the European country, but it's a really well documented story of basically a terror dog that killed a lot of people, like in the Middle Ages.
Oh, I remember this one. Yeah, yeah.
mhm.
And there's a lot of accounts, a lot of art about it. You can track that and even maybe theorize that it could be like some sort of connection there.
Mm.
yeah. Uh, Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that was French. France. In
yeah,
France.
and people always talks about how if these creatures existed, how they will be seen by now. But I think any person that has lived or that has seen like a big forest, a big area of dense forest,
Hmm.
can personally account how utterly massive these areas are. These wild areas are. They are just way too big, and I believe it's super possible that animals like this have not been well documented by us humans.
Is it the beast of Gevaudan? I don't know if I pronounced it right.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was the movie that they made off of that was Brotherhood of the Wolf.
The
Remember?
wolf. Yeah, yeah. It's a cool movie, by the way.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was documented and very. I think they have illustrations of it too.
Yeah.
And
yeah. The illustrations are really old, but are really unnerving.
they are.
Yeah,
Uh, and the dog man. Here in Michigan, I think a lot of people believe that it could be a natural type of animal progression or something
Mm.
going on in the lungs of. It looks very wolf-like. It doesn't. You could not confuse this with a Bigfoot at all, even standing up.
Okay.
Uh, if it never stood up, I would have assumed that it was a wolf, and just a wolf. I do think there's reports of other things that get confused with Sasquatch, and are called Dogman, and maybe there's something else. Maybe they are Dogman. I don't know. But there's a lot of reports in southern states of like the Rougarou and
Hmm.
some other canine cryptids. Um,
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures of the dog man. Yeah, it's more like wolf like. So that's
Hmm.
interesting. I thought it was like for some reason I thought it was like a boxer dog, something like that.
It's
A
kind
guy
the
with a
name
dog face, like
the name is just horrible. There should be
yeah,
some other type of name, and people believe there's different types because there's different physical appearances that they
yeah.
categorize as Dogman, but you could say different types, or maybe they're different cryptids entirely. We don't
Mhm.
know.
it's interesting in the book we have the man dog, and there's a scene in the book where they call him a dog man, and the man dog responds and he's like, nope, there's only one of me. There's a bunch of dog men, but there's only one man dog, and
Oh,
that's what he
oh,
responds. It's like,
Ah,
also, while I'm looking at the man dog, there's this other legend, no, the melon heads.
oh,
yes,
the melon heads,
melonhead.
That's
dude,
from Michigan
those
too,
things are
huh?
crazy. Yes.
That's a real story of people did escape the insane asylum, and some of those people were never found. Yeah, in those woods, and it's supposed to be haunted and stuff. And
But that was like
uh,
they were deformed, right? That's why they call them the melon
Yeah, they were
heads.
deformed.
right, apparently they kept surviving, and they get all deformed. And I know a lot of people who have experienced stuff around those areas, but paranormal wise, I don't see a physical manifestation of something other than a spiritual thing going on there.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Probably because of obviously back in the day that those were places of very bad stuff going on and mistreatment of people. So
Is that the famous insane asylum that Geraldo investigated, or is it another one?
no.
Oh,
This
okay.
is it's famous for the Melonhead story, but
Oh, okay, 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 okay.
like all insane asylums, so they have more horror stories, I'm sure, than we
Yeah,
ever find
then
out.
yeah, then what lurks in the woods, right?
Exactly. Oh wow.
Yeah,
Jesus.
exactly, guys. Well, is there anything else? It's been about an hour. Do you guys want to plug in stuff? I'm going to
Yeah.
get some links in the description here after we upload. I'll get all
Sure, no
those from
problem.
you guys. And so, what's kind of stuff you guys working on in the future after this? Have you guys thought about that or anything?
We have another book coming out. It's waiting in the wings. It's going to be a complete 180 from the CRYPTIDNALS. And Oliver, if you want to explain that one a little bit more.
It's more about video games than cryptid, so it's more lighthearted, more like if you get scared of reading the cryptid notes, you want to read this one just to like keep your mind off of it.
Yeah, but there is something else in the future that Ray and I are working on, and that,
Oh,
that
that's true.
involves skinwalkers. So it's I think it's good advice to be pending of the stuff that we are about
Yeah,
to
we're
in
we're
the
we're
future.
we're
I think so.
We are constantly working and trying to tell
Yeah,
stories.
we're coming up with different stories right now. Javi and I are working on that story. It's the pitch is Skinwalkers meets Stand by Me. That's what the pitch is for that book. So if you like the movie Stand by Me, imagine Skinwalkers in it, and we'll leave it at that.
All
Um,
right.
and then I'm waiting right now. The Gore Shriek issue that my story appears in is should be coming out this month at some point in time, and I'll be announcing it. I'll probably post it on your Facebook pages and stuff like that once it comes out, so people can get interest or if they have interest in it. It's Red Dawn, the movie Red Dawn from the '80s meets Bigfoot. That's the pitch for that one.
there's a theme with Ray. He grabs a movie and puts a cryptid in it.
Yeah, it seems except the Cryptinals. The Cryptinals is
Yeah.
all original. Like we didn't mash anything up into it. But yeah, I'm always trying to come up with some different stuff that you haven't seen, in the mainstream comics or in mainstream media, at all. But we do appreciate you, Blake, having us on the show to pitch the Cryptinals. If you guys want to follow us, we are on all the social media platforms. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And we do have a YouTube channel as well. It's 656 Comics on YouTube. And if you look for 656 Comics, you'll just find all the links along
Also,
with that.
all our Twitter handles are on their name tag, so you can follow us there too.
Here you guys go. That's awesome. Yeah, and it was a pleasure having you. I'd like to have you guys on again for some future panel discussions of opinions on stuff. So very
Sure.
awesome to meet you guys, and I think you guys are doing fantastic work and have a bright future ahead of you guys. Keep up the great
Thank
hard
you
work.
so much, Blake.
Thanks, Blake.
Appreciate it, man. I'll be in touch with you, of course. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And be careful out there, man. In Michigan, that's crazy stuff out there.
Yeah, I always am, and thanks everyone for watching. I really appreciate everyone's support. And without further ado, we'll see you on the next side.
Thank you.